West Point pushes its woke anti-American agenda. A January 6th prisoner has now passed 1,200 days without a trial. Plus, Joe Biden continues to lose a major demographic group. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
Okay, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Monday. I hope you had a great weekend. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to start with what's happening at West Point and our military in general. And it goes back to something I said on the show last week regarding the protests that are going on across the country on college campuses. The left has taken over education because they know one of the most effective ways of changing society is to poison the minds of America's young people. That's why you see surveys showing Gen Z kids supporting socialism over capitalism, doubting the Holocaust, praising communist China, and bashing America. These students, under the guise of supporting the Palestinian people, are tearing down American flags, raising Palestinian flags, wearing symbols of terrorist organizations, and saying death to America. Recently, an incoming student and his mother were interviewed on the situation this student was about to enter as he prepares to attend George Washington University. This is the campus where the statue of George Washington was defaced and draped with a Palestinian flag.
This is not a single campus problem. This is a national problem.
That's right.
And we need all of the lawmakers. We need the administration. We need all of the Americans out there who are concerned by the rhetoric they're seeing that's not only against Jews, but against our Western way of life. And they need to reach out to the universities that they attended.
That was the mother of the future George Washington University student, and she hit the nail on the head. This is an all-out assault on Western values and the American way of life, and it is playing out on America's college campuses.
Students are brandishing terrorist flags and headbands like Hamas and Hezbollah, which are in direct contradiction to our Western values. And I think it's time that the American people start believing that when these protesters are chanting death to America, death to Israel, it really means death to our Western values and death to our American way of living. And that is terrifying.
It is terrifying when you consider that leftists have taken over education and the garbage that they are spewing is producing a generation that hates America. And we see it manifested in a number of ways. The protests are just one example. And here's another. As reported by the Gateway Pundit, the United States Military Academy at West Point is introducing a new curriculum that includes courses on deconstructing patriotism, cross-dressing in the military, and other topics related to gender norms and representation. You heard it right. An institution charged with developing young adults who are supposed to defend America is spending time bashing America and pushing cross-dressing and transgenderism. This is West Point. A list of some of these classes was sent to Representative Scott Taylor, who posted the list online, telling West Point to, quote, fix itself, and noting that he was pretty sure China and Russia are not teaching this nonsense to their officers. Check out some of these offerings. Deconstructing patriotism, exploring postmodernism and U.S. Army recruitment amidst the lack of a national narrative. Uniform perspectives, the evolution of cross-dressing in the military and gender norms. Do my leaders get me? Unpacking the importance of representation in the military. And harder rights, an approach to espoused values and behavior inconsistency, whatever that means. The news reports, it notes that the point of contact for these classes, Dr. Morton Ender, has previously published papers titled, quote, Dinner and a Conversation, Transgender Integration at West Point and Beyond, end quote, and, quote, Inclusion in the U.S. Military, a Force for Diversity, end quote. Friends, we must turn this around. Taxpayer-funded education in America should be turning out good Americans, like those we've seen protecting the American flag, not shouting death to America and long live terrorist organizations. All right, next let's talk about Jake Lang. But first, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, regardless of platform, just search out my name, hit that subscribe button, make sure notifications are turned on. That way you can follow the show and help us grow. Next, I want to talk about the case of Jake Lang who was arrested for protesting and rioting on January 6, 2021, and it shows you how corrupt the nation's justice system is under the control of Joe Biden and the swamp. They will do anything to shut down Donald Trump and shut down his supporters. Now, Jake Lang was arrested for his role in the riots on January 6th, and he was indicted. I invite you to take a look at his indictment. I did. In it, you'll find 11 counts, mostly related to interfering with law enforcement, interfering with an officer or employee of the United States, interfering with an officer or employee of the United States using a deadly or dangerous weapon, which is then defined as a shield. A shield. Okay, so the rest of the counts are similar, and it leads me to a couple of observations. One, how do those counts in the indictment compare to what went on during the summer of 2020 when businesses were burned to the ground, police officers were actually killed, government buildings were occupied for weeks, and billions of dollars of property were destroyed? And two, those counts in the indictment sure do sound very similar to what's going on right now on college campuses. I mean, just on the last show, you saw a video of some protester trying to ram through a police line with a shield, right? Granted, some arrests have been made, but how will those arrests and treatment compare to what Jake Lang is going through? Jake was arrested on January 16th, 2021. He has now passed 1,200 days of incarceration without a trial. 1,200 days. 800 of those have been in solitary confinement. Here's some comments posted just a few days ago by his father, Ned Lang.
Ned Lang. Behind me is the Brooklyn jail where my son's incarcerated, along with a bunch of other J6 patriots. Noisy out here. He's been incarcerated there. This is his 15th prison in 3 years and 3 months. He's now in solitary confinement yet again for no reason, as a free American basically. Only he's a pretrial detainee charged with crimes, never had a chance to go prove himself innocent.
It's beyond tragic what's going on here. This is a political persecution, plain and simple. And it's very frightening to know that this is going on simply based on what your political beliefs are. That's supposed to happen in places like Haiti, not the United States of America.
So I want you to stand with me and stand up for America against the Biden regime. They're evil, they're nasty, they're dirty. Pretty much they're just at this point, they're just a terrorist organization, simple as that. So stand up with me and for my son and your daughter.
There's a protest scheduled for this Wednesday in Brooklyn to show support for Lang and to speak out on what's going on. There are many things the former President Trump needs to fix once he gets back in office, and this should be a priority. We can't remain the United States of America if we are using the legal system to go after political opponents. All right, next let's look at a key demographic that Joe Biden desperately needs, but which is dramatically turning away from Biden and the Democrats in general. Biden needs young voters. They traditionally vote Democrat, and Biden needs the turnout. But in 2024, not only are young voters not enthusiastic, but more are turning to former President Trump in a stunning reversal from 2020.
Trump is beating Biden right now among young voters by 5 points. In 2020, Biden had a 24-point advantage. Oops. The reaction from the Biden campaign?
Young people have a wonderful reason to vote for Joe Biden because they're interested in climate. They're interested in their freedoms being taken away. They're interested in relief of student debt.
That's a nearly 30-point swing from the last presidential election. And it shows that young people are simply not buying what Biden is selling. They want a chance to do better than their parents. And with home prices, food prices, inflation, and instability, young voters are realizing that times were simply better under Trump. In addition, American voters are seeing through schemes such as student loan forgiveness.
You start trying to give away hundreds of billions of dollars of taxpayer money, and it's like we're borrowing to give it away. It's not tax and spend, it's borrow from the Chinese and give it away. When you see those citizens understand those are like pre-election payoffs. Those are like, hey, folks, please vote for us because we're relieving your debt. So at what point does it cross over programs like student debt to just vote buying? America, people want things to be fair, not unfair. And I think it's clear that there's vote buying going on at a scale like we've never seen before.
In that segment, a key point was raised about this recent poll involving young people, and that it surveyed adults and not likely voters. When you look at likely voters, the results move more in Biden's favor, which means that tremendous effort has to be made, both nationally and locally, to identify new voters who don't want Biden as president and get them registered and out to the polls. People who say they want to change but then do not go vote don't do us any good at all. And next, here are some rapid-fire headlines from around the country. First, the Chicago Teachers Union has released its list of demands in the ongoing contract negotiations with Chicago's public school system. And I don't know what's more ridiculous, the list of demands put out by the various student protesters last week, or this list. Recall that various student groups occupying the buildings have not only demanded divesting from Israel, but also demanded ending fossil fuels, defunding the police, and gluten-free humanitarian aid. As reported by Fox News, the union is demanding an additional $50 billion in benefits, which is equivalent to the total tax receipts for the entire state of Illinois in 2023. Among the demands are increased wages, fully paid abortions for its members, new migrant services and facilities, and a host of LGBTQ-related requirements and training in schools. Interesting request considering only 21% of 8th graders in Chicago can read at grade level. It's pathetic. Next, member nations of the World Health Organization will soon be voting on granting the WHO additional powers regarding actions in a pandemic that could override a nation's autonomy and sovereignty. This is obviously concerning and something that the United States should never allow to happen. As reported by the Gateway Pundit, 44 Republican senators have now sent a letter to Joe Biden urging him to reject any move which would transfer U.S. power to the WHO. In their collective statement, the senators criticized the WHO's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, calling it an absolute and predictable failure that caused significant harm to the country. They assert that the United States must demand comprehensive reforms within the WHO before considering any amendments to the International Health Regulations, or IHR, or engaging in new treaty negotiations that would extend the organization's authority. And finally, the Biden campaign team has a new strategy to help Biden appeal to voting groups that he continues to lose ground with. What's the secret groundbreaking strategy? The campaign team wants Biden to speak less, and they are framing that in a way that his Biden's wise small doses of anecdotes are more than enough.
Look, our campaign believes in quality over quantity. We believe that these touches, these smaller things that are getting directly to the point about what is going on in the stakes of this election are going to be easier for voters to tap into and sort of also go out and say and talk to their friends and family about what's at stake.
Interesting comments from the Biden campaign spokesman, but it's quite clear that what's really going on is an attempt to limit gibberish like this.
She's not only the only person receiving this medal. She is a it's not the reason she's getting it, it's because she's from Delaware.
He's getting worse, and the American people know it. Friends, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, today's show's one sheet is available to Patreon supporters using the link in the description. The one sheet gives you the links to all the videos and stories used on today's show, so you can dive even deeper into each issue. And with that, our next show will be Friday evening at the usual time. Until then, I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour. All right, friends, thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button above. Once you do, tell your friends, share it, spread the word about the 13-minute news hour so we can keep growing. And for more great content, check out these videos right here, and I'll see you next time.